game will be Trace. I think you played him like 29 minutes, obviously closed with him. What did you think about his performance, but also how does a night like tonight against that team make you kind of reassess like where he is on the pecking order right now?
He was tremendous. I mean, he was the player of the game. There were several huge plays. Obviously, Steph's shot probably being number one, but Trace's block on Jaylen Brown. But Trace was the guy who shifted everything. Plus 25 in his minutes. Second great game in a row. You can see the impact he makes. So he's going to play it. He's going to be in the lineup.
The Golden State Warriors have just broken out of their slump with an absolute smashing victory over the top-seeded Boston Celtics. Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish Culture. After going 0-3 on the road, losing Draymond, and the extended slump of permanent players in the starting lineup, the Warriors were halfway between a rock and a hard place. Cue the debut of an experimental lineup. The Golden State Warriors finally got a win. As a matter of fact, 3 in a row, after taking down the Brooklyn Nets, the Portland Trail Blazers, and lastly, the Boston Celtics. Klay Thompson is starting to look like his old self after being benched to close out a game against the Phoenix Suns that ended in a loss, and Wiggins, having been benched the last few games, seems to be taking his role on the team more seriously. Since that benching, Klay's been averaging around 27 points per game, almost double his 15-point per game season average prior to his current streak. Wiggins, while still struggling, doesn't hurt the Warriors as much with an emerging Jonathan Kuminga, who's been thrust into the starting role alongside Brandon Podziemski, giving the Warriors that fusion of young players and veterans lineup to put out the team's best performance. With no Draymond, the starting lineup that's been doing damage is Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, and Kevon Looney. Now, we've discussed this exact scenario in one of my recent videos, that the most feasible option for the Warriors at the present moment is to infuse the young players into the starting lineup and give them consistent minutes. Unlike the veterans, they will keep getting better, and based on what we've seen so far this season, their floor wouldn't be any worse than what the team had been getting from Klay and Wiggins all season. While the starting lineup isn't quite there in my opinion, this is a big step forward for Golden State towards getting back on track for the season. Now, I've been putting out videos for the individual players, such as updates with what I think they could contribute to the team and whether or not they're still even on the team. Even as young players, and despite the fact that they weren't seeing the floor, it's become quite obvious at this point that these young players can no longer be kept out of the rotation, nor denied the minutes it'll take to push the Warriors back up the rungs to return to being contenders. The latest matchup versus the Boston Celtics, however, brought everything full circle, as this was the test that the Warriors needed to show the rest of the NBA that they figured it out, and they mean business. So lock in, and let's break down this matchup and what it means for the Warriors going forward. Before that though, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. So without further delay, let's get to it. 132. That's the number of points that the Golden State Warriors dropped on the second best defensive team in the NBA en route to their biggest win of the season. This is without Draymond Green, who's out for at least 3 weeks as per the latest report on Green's status. Without GP2, Wiggins still being lost, and an injured starter in Brandon Podziemski. If you asked anyone prior to the Boston Celtics game who was going to win, and any Celtics fan aside from the most reserved would tell you that Boston was going to mop the floor with Golden State. Having only beaten a couple of teams that are nowhere near championship contention, this was a rather huge litmus test for Golden State, one which they passed with flying colors. The test? Can the Golden State Warriors win a championship this season? I stated it at the beginning of the season, and I will say it again. The team has the personnel to win. What matters is the utilization of these players that will determine how far the Warriors get. If they can beat this team once, they can do it again, and again, and again. But it didn't always look that way. The Boston Celtics came hard in the first quarter.
Bruh.
With Kuminga and Klay Thompson heating up early, it looked like both would have good games. Both were soon subbed for CP3 and Andrew Wiggins, and as expected, The Warriors' offense and defense cooled off. A couple of lazy turnovers early on gave the Celtics a boost. Derek White was heating up from beyond the arc, and it started to look like it could be a long night. They dropped 40 points to the Warriors' 30, and this caused a bit of concern. The Warriors as of late had been going into the halftime break with a sizable lead, but it didn't seem like this would be the case tonight. If Boston takes the lead early, we could be looking at a massive blowout by the end of the game if the Warriors continue their ways of collapsing in the third quarter. By the middle of the second quarter, however, the Warriors had caught a rhythm. It was Steph, Clay, Pods, Kuminga, and TJD. This lineup slapped the Celtics so hard, Joe Mazzulla's mama felt it. At this point, I began to wonder, did Boston do something that got under the Warriors' skin? Like,
what did he do to make them niggas that mad?
And then it occurred to me, they don't want to play Kristaps Porzingis back-to-back, so they rested him against the Warriors.
And it became personal with me.
The Warriors went on a run to close the second quarter, trailing by 3 points, a single possession. It wasn't over yet, though. The third quarter would prove to be pivotal. Pods was out of the game at this point, and outside of Porzingis, Boston was fully stacked. As the third quarter got underway, it was a battle between two clearly talented teams. Curry was not having his best defensive game and kept getting hit with fouls. By the middle of the third, Curry had his 5th foul and had to be benched. With Corey Joseph and Chris Paul running the Warriors offense and the team down by 17, it for sure looked like Boston had this one in the bag. With Looney somewhat incapacitated due to his inability to guard anyone in a white jersey, TJD saw his second stint out on the floor after his initial showing in the first half. Somehow, this ragtag bunch managed to hold on and cut the lead down to 11 to go into the fourth quarter. TJD's athletic presence alone was enough to deter the Celtics, keeping them from getting easy baskets at the rim. He gave the Warriors a different identity. CP3 now had space to attack and go to his mid-range, which, while not very effective in this particular game, showed what these players can do when they provide rim pressure. The cascading effect frees up the perimeter to get the guards better looks. While this group could possibly cut the lead some, a double-digit lead was going to need something more drastic. Steve Kerr, seeing the plight of the team, decided Steph Curry was going to have to go all out, all in. If the Warriors were to have any chance of winning, he'd have to play Steph the entire fourth quarter. Curry, Wiggins, CP3, TJD, and Moody started the fourth quarter. For the entire fourth quarter, or most of it, the Warriors battled their way back against the Celtics. With these switching lineups, Kerr struggled to find a formula that worked as the Celtics kept the Warriors at bay by at least 2 to 3 possessions. That was until Kerr struck gold. Kerr ran a lineup that included CP3, Curry, Clay, Kuminga, and TJD. Prime facilitating, prime shooting, and prime athleticism. This lineup was masterful. It eliminated all the Warriors' weaknesses as a team and fortified the team's strengths. The best of everything this team had to offer in one lineup, and they attacked. They closed the gap with the Celtics and in lockstep traded triples with Derek White. And when he was spent, Curry goes in for the tie and nails it from deep. With a few seconds remaining, Jason Tatum went 1v1 with Kuminga. Unfortunately, he simply just couldn't get past the Warriors' elite wing defender. JK locks up Tatum and forced the toughest three-point shot even Steph Curry had to say.
I mean, that's a bad shot. I care what anybody says, that's a bad shot.
The Celtics couldn't answer, and the game went to overtime. Kerr stuck with the same group, and while he initially attacked from the perimeter with Curry and Clay, this lineup easily switched up the offense and went to their front court, turning defense to offense. It was absolutely incredible to watch TJD and Kuminga run the floor with speed and athleticism Boston could only dream of. Now, back when Boston had Rob Williams, this might have been a tougher matchup, but no one in a white jersey could match this Warriors front court. It started with Jonathan Kuminga getting the steal and breaking away for a dunk. The Celtics miss a jumper, and this time Jackson Davis hammers one home. The Celtics make a break for it, and Jaylen Brown went for the finish. Trace Jackson Davis slams Brown's dunk attempt against the backboard, pinning the man's hopes and dreams against the glass. The fear of TJD had Boston so shook. These guys couldn't hit shots 2 feet away from the rim. The pressure was just too great. You could see the innate fear as the pure adrenaline allowed them to hustle and get the rebounds, but they lacked the focus to put the ball in the basket on at least 3 straight attempts. The Boston Celtics had begun to fold. A triple from Horford brings them to within one, but with 10 seconds on the shot clock, Steph Curry hits the most devastating, heart-wrenching dagger of a three-point shot with two hands in his face from the Golden Gate Bridge, sending the Warriors up 4 with 10 seconds left in the game. Another heavily contested jump shot by the Celtics clanked off the rim, and with TJD securing the rebound, the Celtics simply wanted nothing to do with it. They had simply seen enough. The final score of 132 to 126 caps off the best regular season game for Golden State this season. This is what happens when you fuse your young, talented players with your championship DNA core. A win over the team with the best record in the league, despite playing handicapped. The Golden State Warriors clearly have everyone fooled. Could this spark a run for the Warriors to re-enter the race as a team contending for a title this season? Let me know if you expected this, or if you think this is a fluke. Post your thoughts in the comments below. But before that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish!